Hello, it's 1 p.m. here in Kenya's capital, Nairobi. This is The Ambassador. With me, your ambassador, Paul Mathenge. To our first story, South Africa is working to support its troops in the Democratic Republic of Congo after at least 13 soldiers were killed in clashes with Rwanda-backed M23 rebels. The soldiers died during an attack on the base near Sake and ongoing skirmishes on the volatile region. Authorities are now focused on repatriating the fallen troops and assessing whether reinforcements are needed, with discussion expected at the upcoming SADC summit in Harare. Despite the violence, South Africa insists its mission remains a peacekeeping effort. Paris Kigo reports.
South Africa says it is working to support its troops stationed in the Democratic Republic of Congo. At least 13 of its soldiers have been killed in the conflict, pitting Rwanda-backed M23 rebels against the Congolese army and its allies. According to Dlamini, 10 of the soldiers were killed when responding to the attack, while the other died during the clashes between M23 rebel and Congolese forces on Monday, when some mortars fell on their base.
The M23 has been taking villages and towns over the past month or so, and we know that until they got to a place called Sake, where our operational base is located, where we're also co-located with Tanzania, Malawi and ourselves, together with some of the MONUSCO people. So they attacked that base. And when our base came under attack, we then responded. And we did indeed push them back.
He said the government was also working on repatriating the bodies of the foreign soldiers, a process that is expected to take longer than usual because of the volatile situation in Goma.
Our soldiers are back in their bases. They are no longer engaging with M23. The engagement is between M23. So in their positions, they have all their possessions with them. And again, getting more support to them is something that we are working on to avoid any loss of life, but to make sure that even those that are bringing in those supplies are actually secure.
Dlamini said it is not yet clear whether more troops would be sent to the region as reinforcement. He said the decision on deploying more soldiers will likely be discussed at the Southern Africa Development Extraordinary Summit in Harare, Zimbabwe on Thursday. The South Africa troops are part of the regional bloc peacekeeping force in the region. President Cyril Ramaphosa said yesterday described it as a critical mission aimed at achieving lasting peace and stability in the eastern DRC. Dlamini said despite the clashes, the South Africa missions remain a peacekeeping one in the region. Paris Kigo, GBS News.
Now, Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso have officially exited the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, citing political tensions and regional security concerns. The move follows a series of military takeovers and disputes with the bloc over democratic governance. Despite the withdrawal, ECOWAS has pledged to keep its doors open, while the three nations have strengthened their own security alliance to counter ongoing threats from armed groups. Paris Kigo has more.
The military government of Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso have withdrawn from the Economic Community of West Africa State. The formal withdrawal was announced by the Nigeria-based regional bloc in a statement on Wednesday, amid a series of coups, struggles with Muslim armed groups, and competition between Russia and the West for influence in the region. ECOWAS has become a target for the three nations. In the statement, the bloc said it tried to avert its unprecedented disintegration and stressed that it would keep ECOWAS' door open in the spirit of regional solidarity. The remaining members of the state were called upon to continue to grant citizens from the three countries the privileges of membership, including the free movement of people and goods, Established in 1975, the 15-nation bloc has become the region's top political authority, often collaborating with states to solve domestic challenges on various fronts, from politics to economy and security. However, amid a series of military takeovers, continuing struggles with the religious armed groups, and competition for influence between Russia and former colonial power France, the bloc has found itself in the crosshairs. Paris Kigo, GPS News.
A Russian drone strike has killed at least 4 people and injured several others in the northeastern Ukrainian city of Sumy. The attack, which occurred early this morning, left the community in shock as emergency crews work to rescue survivors from the rubble. The strike is part of the broader wave of Russian drone assaults that targeted cities across Ukraine overnight. Authorities report expensive damage with homes, businesses, and civilian infrastructure hit. Irene Juguna reports.
A Russian drone struck a multi-story apartment building in the northeastern Ukrainian city of Sumy, killing at least 4 people and injuring 9 others, including a child, according to regional authorities. Ukrainian president condemned the attack as terrible tragedy and called for continued global pressure on Russia to halt its ongoing campaign of terror. This attack is part of a broader wave of Russian drone strike, with Russia launching 81 drones at various Ukrainian targets overnight. The Ukrainian military successfully intercepted 37 of these drones, while another 39 failed to reach their intended targets. Sumy governor, speaking from the site of attack, confirmed that the emergency responders were still working to rescue residents trapped in the rubble. The strike caused severe damages, destroying 5 apartments and damaging more than 20 cars. In a separate attack overnight, the southern region of Odessa was also hit, with a drone damaging a grain of warehouse, a hospital, and 2 private residences. As the conflict escalates, humanitarian toll on civilians continues to rise, highlighting the urgent need for international action to address the ongoing violence. Triza Tiengo, GBS News.
In his inaugural address on January 21st, President Donald Trump unveiled a series of aggressive immigration measures aimed at significantly reducing the number of undocumented immigrants in the United States. Among the policies, a heightened focus on mass deportations has raised concerns across the globe, particularly among African migrants, with over 1.4 million non-citizens targeted, including over 1,000 Kenyans. The move could have profound consequences for the Kenyan diaspora, especially in urban areas. Interview our reporter Irene Juguna takes a closer look at the deportation of immigrants in the United States.
I will declare a national emergency at our southern border.
In a bold move to reshape United States immigration policy, President Donald Trump, on his first day in office, reaffirmed his commitment to mass deportations targeting undocumented individuals residing in the United States. Trump vowed to carry out sweeping removals, stating, "We will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came."
Will immediately be halted, and we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came.
As part of the immigration crackdown, Trump signed nearly 100 executive orders on the first day, with 10 directly addressing the immigration system, an issue that played a pivotal role throughout his 2024 campaign.
We're going to have to seal up those borders. We're like a garbage can for the world. On day one, I will launch the largest deportation program in American history. We're going to get the criminals out.
Currently, United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, is targeting at least 1,282 Kenyans for deportation, part of a broader effort to remove over 1.4 million undocumented immigrants from the country. For many Kenyans, particularly those in metropolitan areas like New York, Washington, D.C., and Los Angeles, the risk of raids and detentions is imminent. The deportation policies put in motion by the Trump administration signal a new chapter in the ongoing debate over immigration reform. For Kenyans in the United States, this chapter is filled with uncertainty and concern about the future. The coming months will be pivotal as both governments and affected individuals navigate the legal and emotional challenges ahead. The question remains, what will the future hold for the Kenyan diaspora in America, and how will the world respond? Reporting for GBS News, Irene Juguna.
Now on the same scene, our reporter Irene Juguna takes a closer look at the deportation of immigrants in the United States. In an exclusive interview, she speaks with Ambassador Bejazia, a member of the Kenya Diaspora Alliance Secretariat, to provide deeper insights into the challenges faced by deported individuals, the broader impact on the Kenyan diaspora, and potential solutions to address this ongoing issue. Irene Juguna reports. Let's take a listen.
How is the Kenya Diaspora Alliance responding to Donald Trump's directive of mass immigration, which is facing over 1,000 Kenyans in the US?
Well, our view is that because most of our people out there are professionals on their own right, we are still waiting to get reports from our diaspora chairs so that we may know what to do. But to us, it is not a big issue because most of these guys being professionals at their own right and having worked with big corporates and multinationals in the US, it will be very, very difficult to deport them back to Africa or to Kenya for that matter. So we are not overly surprised, but keeping a wait and see approach towards that policy, as it were.
Oh, so do you think the foreign policy is failing in the elite society in the West, considering Kenya is very intentional in exporting capital labor, human labor to the United States? Do you think the foreign policy is failing?
No, the foreign policy of Kenya or of the outside countries?
The outside countries of Kenya and the outside countries, yeah.
We can say in Kenya, because it is specific to particular countries, like the labor issues, which the labor-related issues, which has been going on with the Ministry of Labor and Skills Development towards employing our young men in the Gulf, that is the Middle East and the Gulf. I think there is a proper, clear channel of how these young men are employed. That one is besides the domestic workers, where there is the National Employment Authority that deals with such. So I can say the government is very, very deliberate on its way of exporting our labor, and it is to specific segment of employment. So it's not an issue of concern to our country or to our organization, as it were.
What if the deportations succeed? What are plans that have been made or put in place to help Kenyans reintegrate back to the society if they come back home? Are there any plans or anything that's going to help them reintegrate back to society if they come back home?
Yeah, currently we have got returnee diasporas who have really integrated into our society, and they have been doing an excellent job. For example, the diaspora city that is being inaugurated in Malindi, that one is a $48 million estate that is coming up. We've got another estate along Kiambu Road by some diasporas in Qatar, and several other developments done by the returnees. So what we do, we make sure that we talk to our members that if they invest back home, they make sure they invest through regulated companies. If you are investing in the financial markets, you make sure that that very company is regulated by either central bank, capital markets authority, or Nairobi Securities Exchange. If it is in the real estate, you must make sure that you are investing back home, but your investment is through a regulated entity. If not, then you are on your own. So we've been advising our members to do so.
Oh, so at least there are plans put in.
There are plans. There are plans in place, and also the International Labour Organization has organized several seminars towards coming up with the ILO together with the Ministry of Labour, as well as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And you see, there is also a Department of Diaspora Affairs at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So these entities have come up together with the National Employment Authority and other relevant bodies to make sure that they come up with a new law that is already in place. It is now in amendment form. It will be it will be sent back to Parliament so that it becomes it becomes law. Managing the welfare of migrant workers outside the country, so that if things fail in the diaspora out there, they've got a fallback plan. So that particular bill is initiated by the Ministry of Labour, the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, ILO, the National Employment Authority, and other relevant bodies, including the Kenya Diaspora Alliance, which has done a lot of stuff in that really motion that is already in Parliament by now.
That's very nice. Just to sideline a little bit, Kenya being the main peacemaker in the DRC Congo conflict, what are your response? And after yesterday, they attacked the embassy. What do you have to say about that?
You know, when it comes to such riots or demonstrations, the first aspect that goes to a particular segment of people, especially in rioting, is to target anything that is not theirs. So Kenya, as a peacemaker, and currently President Ruto is holding the chairmanship of the East African community, where DRC, Rwanda, Burundi, Ethiopia, all countries in Eastern Africa are included. So their reaction was spontaneous, but as well, it's kind of a reaction that you cannot resist. So it happened, and I'm sure it is now under control. But what we can do is to make sure that we allow peace take its course, and the grievances raised are also addressed conclusively. That's why President Ruto called for that meeting to urgently address such issues.
Also, on the migrants who are coming back, if they come back, has the Kenya Diaspora Alliance set in place like legal support or any kind of support?
In fact, these people we're talking about are a segment of proper professionals on their own right. We have lawyers, we have doctors, we have pilots, and let me give you a flavor of what is outside there. The guy who is managing the London Metropolitan, okay, London is not in the US, but I'm just side chatting you a little bit. The guy who is managing the London Metropolitan Transport is a Kenyan born. The guy who is in charge of the Qatar airspace, controlling the pilots and everybody, is also a Kenyan from Siaya County. So these are professionals on their own right. Even if they are brought back home, it won't be difficult for them to get jobs or to get subsistence on their own. So that issue should not really warriors, only that we would have removed them from their comfort zone at a time when they are not prepared for it. But in the fullness of time, I'm sure the issue of professionals or diasporas who are professionals on their own right, I don't think they will be deported. What if one is a surgeon for the White House? You deport such a person?
No.
Or if one is in the army of the United States, or is in FBI, you think you can you can deport such people?
Okay.
So the word deportation can be a bit fluid, but again, let's wait and see. The thing is, we've got various chapters in the diaspora. Currently, we are about 70 diaspora chapters, and every chapter has its own leadership or its own management. So through our chapters, we'll be able to monitor the move as it goes on. But it's not an issue of concern at the moment.
Okay. I hear you. Are there any steps the Alliance is taking to advocate for immigration policy reforms in the US to protect Kenyans?
Currently, we have, us as an alliance, we must make sure that our members' welfare is being taken care of.
Sure.
The issue of protecting our members in the diaspora is managed by the Ministry of Diaspora Affairs together with the embassies that are in such areas of concern. So I believe as a lobby or as an alliance, ours is to make sure that we keep our tabs on for our members, that they are safe, and we are closely monitoring. However, the issue of security is with the country first, then the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, as well as the security at their own place of residence.
Wow. The ambassador will take a short break. We will be right back with more.
What is always before you but can't be seen?
Kudiscover talent.
Kudiscover ulijuangaje like unaweza imba like yeah.
Kini Trace Jumi Kipchoge kwa ngoma na mfala wanani dis na wanabonga kwa ngoma, mafanjo wananipenda ndo nazidi kwa roga, wenye walenjaribu manze walishachoka na nikozabe meditation naendelesha generation niliofanya kalki.
Wewe at 1 year old ulikuwa unafanya nini? You're feeling the vibe. Ulitoa a few days ago, unaweza taka utuambie like ulikuwa unafikiria nini when you came up with the lyrics? Yeah.
So I'm doing my thing. Don't try and stop me when I'm doing my thing. I'm tryna boss, let me do my thing. And if you're tryna win, you can be on my team. Yeah, so I'm doing my thing. Don't try and stop me when I'm doing my thing. I'm tryna boss, let me do my thing.
You feel like you're young at heart, I'm an old soul. If you could only listen to one singer or band for the rest of your life, who would you choose?
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome to the ambassador here in Kenya's capital, Nairobi. Now, President William Ruto held a meaningful and heartfelt engagement with Kenyans living and working in Egypt. Currently on an official visit to Cairo, the president took the time to meet with hundreds of members of the Kenyan diaspora, discussing how to enhance bilateral ties and provide stronger support for Kenyan nationals abroad. The event focused on crucial issues like economic opportunities, security, and fostering cultural exchange.
William Ruto's visit to Egypt marked an important moment for the Kenyan diaspora, bringing together hundreds of Kenyans from diverse backgrounds who now call Egypt home. The president sent a strong message of commitment, stating Kenya stands by its citizens no matter where they live. In his address, President Ruto underscored the vital role the Kenyan diaspora plays in nation's growth, particularly through remittances and investment.
For Kenyans to work across the world, it's very important that we have the right quality of education and training. If there is one resource we have as a country that is more precious than any mineral, it is more precious than gold, silver, oil, all of them put together, it is our human resource.
He emphasized that the strength of Kenya's global presence is directly tied to the contributions of its citizens abroad.
Kenyans, wherever they are, and I have been to many countries. I have been to many countries in Africa. I have been to many countries in Europe, America, and the quality of Kenyan human capital, the quality of Kenyan labor is outstanding. Every president I meet, they tell me Kenyans require the least supervision in what they do.
The president also outlined plans to improve consular services, ensuring that Kenyans abroad receive the support they need. As President Ruto's visit comes to an end, the message is clear. The bond between Kenya and its diaspora is stronger than ever. Reporting for GBS News, Irene Juguna.
But Menendez has been sentenced to 11 years in prison after being convicted on charges of bribery. The once powerful lawmaker who represented the New Jersey was found guilty of accepting cash, gold bars, and even a luxury car in exchange for using his political influence to benefit the Egyptian government. Let's take a listen.
Following his conviction on bribery charges, the charges stemmed from his involvement in a bribery scheme where he received gold bars and cash in exchange for political favors to benefit the Egyptian government. Menendez, a Democrat, served 18 years in the Senate and previously chaired the influential Senate Foreign Relations Committee. He was known for his strong stance on foreign policy, including his opposition to the 2015 Iran nuclear deal. In 2024, Menendez was convicted of acting as a foreign agent for Egypt. U.S. District Judge Sidney Stein, who sentenced him, remarked that Menendez had once been a powerful figure in U.S. politics, but somewhere along the way, his focus shifted from working for the public good to working for his own benefit. Menendez, in his defense, asked the judge to consider his long record of public service, acknowledging his mistakes but emphasizing the good he had done over the years. Prosecutors, however, argued that Menendez had betrayed the public trust by using his high office to sell political influence in exchange for bribes. They had recommended a 15-year sentence, and Menendez's co-defendants, two businessmen, received prison terms of 7 and 8 years respectively. Menendez resigned from his Senate position in August 2024 after his conviction on 16 felony corruption charges. Teresa Tiengo, GBS News.
Tensions is rising in the Middle East after controversial remarks by U.S. President Donald Trump. He's called for Arab nations to take in more Palestinian refugees from Gaza, has sparked protest and strong opposition.
It was around 9 p.m. when the FCA Airlines bombed their CRJ-700 jet,
carrying 64 people crashed into U.S. Army Sikorsky UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter. The crash happened as the jet was landing. Officials says both aircraft fell into the Potomac River. Emergency team rushed to the scene. More than 300 responders, including police and firefighters, are working in tough conditions. Washington's Mayor, Muriel Bowser, confirmed that multiple agencies are involved in the search and rescue operation. The FAA has halted all takeoffs and landing at the airport until at least 5 a.m. on Friday. In a statement, Chief Fire Officer John, who's leading the rescue team in Washington, expressed his concern for the victims. He said that the teams are working tirelessly to rescue.
A tragic accident has happened near Washington, D.C. A passenger plane and a military helicopter collided mid-air while landing at Ronald Reagan National Airport, where a small plane crashed on a remote part of South Sudan on Wednesday, killing at least 18 people. The plane was carrying oil workers and was chartered by the Chinese oil company. Let's take a listen.
It was around 9 p.m. when the FCA Airlines bombed their CRJ-700 jet carrying 64 people crashed into U.S. Army Sikorsky UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter. The crash happened as the jet was landing. Officials says both aircraft fell into the Potomac River. Emergency team rushed to the scene. More than 300 responders, including police and firefighters, are working in tough conditions. Washington's Mayor, Muriel Bowser, confirmed that multiple agencies are involved in the search and rescue operation. The FAA has halted all takeoffs and landing at the airport until at least 5 a.m. on Friday. In a statement, Chief Fire Officer John, who's leading the rescue team in Washington, expressed his concern for the victims. He said that the teams are working tirelessly to rescue anyone who might still be alive despite the extremely difficult conditions. He emphasized that every effort was being made to assist in the rescue operation and extended his thoughts to the family of those involved.
At 8:58, the first units arrived on the scene and found an aircraft in the water and began rescue operations. This incident has grown. There's currently about 300 responders working. We have boats from all throughout the region, police and fire boats. We have a mutual aid agreement in Washington, D.C., the National Capital Region Mutual Aid Agreement administered by the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments.
American Airlines CEO Robert Isom was deeply saddened by the incident. He extended condolences to the victims' family, and he emphasized that the airline's commitment to assist authorities. According to him, safety remains the airline's top priority, and they are cooperating fully with the ongoing investigation.
First and most importantly, I'd like to express our deep sorrow about these events. This is a difficult day for all of us at American Airlines, and our efforts now are focused entirely on the needs of our passengers, crew members, partners, first responders, along with their families and loved ones.
Meanwhile, in Africa, a tragic plane crash in South Sudan has left at least 18 people dead. The small aircraft went down in Unity State near an oil field while taking off. The plane was chartered by Great Pioneer Operating Company, a Chinese oil firm. It was flying to Juba, the capital of South Sudan. The local Minister of Information, Gatwech Baipal, confirmed that there were 21 people on board, including 2 pilots. However, reports say most were South Sudanese, along with 1 Indian and 2 Chinese nationals. For now, authorities are focused on recovering bodies and providing answers to the families of the victims. Joy Kura, GBS News.
Tensions is rising on the Middle East after controversial remarks by U.S. President Donald Trump. His call for Arab nations to take in more Palestinian refugees from Gaza has sparked protest and strong opposition.
Dozens of Palestinians gathered in Ramallah in the occupied West Bank on Wednesday to protest against recent comments made by the U.S. President Donald Trump. Trump suggested that countries like Jordan and Egypt should take in more Palestinian refugees from Gaza. He said this would help clean out the war-torn area and create a fresh start. Palestinian activist Mustafa Poukoti, who was at the protest, strongly condemned Trump's remark. He said that the proposal amounted to participation in a war crime, emphasized that it was completely rejected by all Palestinians as well as by Egypt and Jordan. Both Egypt and Jordan have firmly rejected the idea. These countries, along with the Palestinians, fear that if people leave Gaza, Israel may never allow them to return. Israel leaders have previously pushed for Palestinians to leave Gaza, but many see this as a dangerous move that could permanently change the region. Egypt and Jordan have long supported the creation of a Palestinian state in Gaza, the West Bank, and Eastern Jerusalem. But they worry if Gaza population is forced out, hope for a future Palestinian state would lost forever. For now, the situation remains tense, with growing fears for further displacement. Joy Kuria, GBS News.
And that was the news with me, your Ambassador Paul Mathenke. On the Ambassador 1 p.m., you can follow all of our stories at GBS TV Africa. It's updated through the day. Thank you for your time and company.
Everywhere